So in your opinion, Indian coffees are on par with the best in the world?
We do almost 70 different experiments.
I think after water, coffee is the most consumed
Beverage. More than just a drink, this is a culture. Hi, good evening everybody. I have the pleasure of sitting with two people from the world of coffee. On my left we have Mr. Purnesh, who's the president of the Specialty Coffee Association of India and a fourth generation planter. He owns Harley Estates, a well-known brand from Karnataka. We also have Mr. Nitin who also runs a very successful coffee business. They have had this brand called Cothas Coffee for 75 years.
75 years.
Nitin represents the third generation of Cothas Coffee. So thank you, gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be sitting here and talking about something that I'm very passionate about.
Thank you, Nikhil.
Thank you, Nikhil.
So Mr. Purnesh, let me start with you. You mentioned that you don't have blood in your veins, but coffee in your veins. So tell us a little bit about your experience of being in this business over the last 25 years. How has your journey been? And we'll then move to Nitin.
Yeah, I'll quickly go back to how I got into coffee because as you know, I'm a fourth generation coffee grower, and I still remember walking the coffee plantations with my grandfather holding my hand and also with my father. So we learned the coffee that way. Over to you, Nitin.
All right. So my journey with the coffee industry has been there from my childhood. Like my grandfather was no more there, but we had my dad, his brothers. So that's how the journey started, and it's continuing. And we have been diversifying in many ways. So let's see. It's been 75 years for the brand. And it's going to be a total new change and makeover for the brand in the coming years.
We'll get to that in a while.
Yes.
So Mr. Purnesh, tell us about how coffee and the cafe culture has evolved over the last 20 odd years that you have seen and lived coffee. So how has that change and transition happened?
It's been a huge development in India in a very short period. The cafe culture was started, as you know, by Cafe Coffee Day about 27 years back, and from there on it started picking up, and we see a huge growth in the future which is not going to stop soon.
Right. Nitin, what has been your experience over the last 20 odd years?
So my experience, I think, the whole cafe thing happened when I was studying in my engineering. So you saw like Coffee Day opening up a couple of outlets like what Mr. Purnesh said. Now we started moving into more specialty and everything. And that started growing around across the country, across the world, and even catching up in all the countries. Like, India, I think we just followed what other countries were doing. We just bought the trend over here and people started embracing it. So I think we are just in that phase of embracing it and taking it forward where many people are coming into this market. But I feel there's a huge way to go and a huge market to capture.
Right. Since you talk about India and the cafe culture growth in India, so our Indian cafes, they have drawn inspiration from Western style cafes, from the Starbucks and so on and so forth. But what has Indian cafes provided which is different from the rest of the world? Have they provided something special to India or which is different from the rest of the world?
Everyone is trying to provide you a coffee which the world has not seen before.
Right.
There is an effort, there is an innovation, there is something new that they want to bring to the table to have the consumers to come. There was so many ideas that have sprung out from India in terms of the specialty market, which even the world hasn't seen. A lot of those kind of specialties that have come up. I feel that is a differentiator in the cafes in India versus else. I think they managed to crack that difference from the world.
So in your opinion, Indian coffees are on par with the best in the world?
I can boldly say that.
Wonderful. Yes. That's good to know.
I'm sure you'll agree.
Oh, 100%.
So my next question is, the relationship between coffee and culture and how it's influenced modern lifestyle trends and daily routines. So how do you think daily routines have changed with coffee and the cafe culture?
All right, that's a nice one actually. So earlier, right, we used to say that, my grandma is preparing the coffee and, probably we never saw it. But maybe it was a ritual for my grandma preparing the coffee and serving it to the people in the house. But today, I would say that many of us take that time first thing in the morning that I want to prepare my coffee, I want to grind my coffee, smell my aroma, brew it out, and then savor it.
I think adding to this, Indian weddings are very big, especially in South India and Northern India. Today, coffee has become a must. There are fancy machines kept for dispensing coffee, and people have coffee after best of their food and desserts.
Next question is on the innovations that are coming up. We heard about innovations in cafes. What about coffee itself? What are the different innovations are you seeing in coffee and coffee making, which is keeping the younger audience excited?
Yeah, in fact, this was a very pertinent question right now because as a grower, if I just make a commercial coffee and sell, I'm not able to survive anymore. So I have to be very different. I have to start producing some micro lots.
Right.
They're called the micro lots, where you produce, even if it is 5 or 10 bags, they're very unique. The process itself is very different. So we keep experimenting. In fact, in our own plantation, like my daughter was mentioning earlier, we do almost 70 different experiments. In that, maybe 10 might click, but they're very unique. So there is a lot of innovation going on. I'll give you some examples, like we have something called whiskey barrel-aged coffee. We have something called wine barrel-aged coffee or rum barrel-aged coffee. The aromas are so different from all the three when we bring them out, and the acceptance in the market is phenomenal. And these are, like you said, the younger generation appreciate a lot because they can recognize from different processing and they want to try different every time they go to a restaurant.
Wonderful. Yeah. So we all know about liquors and for example, whiskey that comes from Scotland or champagne from, let us say, parts of France. Can India come up with coffee that can become popular around the world? I'm just wondering if we can export a type of coffee or a brand of coffee that could probably get geotagged as well. Is that something that you see happening, Mr. Purnesh?
It's already happening. In fact, we have 4 geotagged coffees.
I see.
Already. Okay. And that is being supported by Coffee Board of India. And these 4 geotagged coffees are very unique, like the Monsoon Malabar, which is very unique to Indian coffee. We have something called Kapi Royal, which is a very special Robusta processed coffee. Again, we have Mysore Nuggets. Mysore Nuggets. So like this, we have 3 or 4 different varieties. Again, a regional geotag is happening.
Okay.
So a specific area has a particular variety of coffee and they are being geotagged. So that trend is on.
So world over, they're sold as a brand which says their estate name. So I feel that's the greatness that we have got out in our country now.
Right, so there is recognition for Indian coffee.
Just to add here to what Nitin said, in fact, some of our coffees, for example, there's a UK company who just launches Harley Estate brand.
Right.
And they're available in some of the premium stores. In fact, there's a American company who bought coffee from us. They put Purnesh Select. It's on Amazon. So, you feel proud about, because they see the speciality in the quality of coffee, and that makes you feel good to produce better quality coffees.
Right. Mr. Purnesh, you represent the older generation over here. You have 2 daughters who are now taking over your business. So what do you tell them? How do you tell them about your experiences, and what advice do you have for them?
Generally, I don't give them an advice on what they should do. on their own, they've gone ahead and done a lot of research on coffee, and also, in fact, just to share with you, we have the first private coffee estate who has a research institute, recognized research institute called Harley Plantation Research Institute, set up by my elder daughter with some scientists in the plantation to research on the way to process coffee. So it's come on there with them, along with maybe observing us and thinking that it's a better life and better quality, better way to do business.
No, I'm excited. The future of coffee is strong with such capable hands taking over the coffee business.
Can I ask you a question myself?
Sure,
because
sure.
it's been only the other side. How did you come out with the idea of creating a coffee pen? Because it's very exciting for me, to be very honest.
Sure, this takes me back to about a year ago when I was visiting Chicago with my parents. And we were on Michigan Avenue, which is the main street at Chicago, and we came across this large store which was Starbucks Reserve, and it was spread over 5 floors. And when we walked in at about 11:30 in the morning, across 5 floors, we couldn't get a table to sit down and have a cup of coffee.
Wow.
It was full of people, young and old, talking about, I think work, meetings happening, casual conversations and so on. And I said, my goodness, look at this. This is just more than just a drink. This is a culture. And, we are sitting here in the heart of the startup world in Bangalore, in Koramangala, where many a startup would probably say that their idea came to life in a coffee shop. So the relationship between coffee and pens go a long way back, right? Both of them, I'm sure, spark a lot of ideas. So that's a short answer to your question.
I'm amazed with your thoughts, and I'm sure this is going to be a huge hit in the world market.
Thank you. So any final insights or reflections on the role of coffee in shaping contemporary life and culture that you'd like to share? Maybe we'll start with Nitin.
See, if you look at it right now, with coffee and the culture, now every locality is coming up with something different, which is close to that locality. You go to Koramangala, you have people having their coffee shops in a particular way, a particular design. You go to HSR layout, you go down south to Jayanagar, you go to different places. Yes, the coffee shops might be of the same chain, but there's a slight twist to the way it is looking, feeling, and the kind of food that's given over there to get the people into a much more comfortable zone. So you go to a couple of coffee shops up north, right, in Pune and everything. That coffee shop is serving everything localized in terms of food.
Right.
So, that's the kind of localization they've got to connect with their community.
Right.
And it's packed, a lot of these coffee shops. So, it's nice to see coffee shops bringing the community together.
Do you see that as well?
In fact, adding to what Nitin is saying, there's also a home brewing, trend.
Right.
In fact, we all used to talk about people having a beautiful bar and for their alcohol, for consumption. But now there's going to be coffee bars in many homes. So the trend is just, I think it's in a bursting situation right now.
Right. Okay.
I'm very excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So nice place to be, and I think after water, coffee is the most consumed beverage.
Right.
So what more better place to be, right?
Sure.
And what more better way to connect with people.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So, with that, I'd like to thank both Mr. Purnesh and Nitin for having come and spent some time with us today, having launched our Sheaffer pen, spent the evening talking about coffee. It was lovely to get your insights, and I'm so excited that we are just getting started. And if there's one message that I get from having spoken to both of you, there's a lot more to come in this world of coffee.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very
Thank you.
much.